Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. So I am here in a place and I call this place a secret garden because I don't think many people know about this place. I knew about this place for the longest of times, but I never ventured here. I don't know why, but recently I've started coming to this place. It's really nice and relaxing. So yeah, so I really like spending time in nature. So today I wanted to share with you a story that I haven't told you before. So it's a story about how I felt when I was in Mexico. So it's a story about even when you're living your dream, how our anxiety can cripple and get the best of us, and how I was affected when I was traveling in Mexico. So the reason why I wanted to share it, how I felt is hopefully, it will resonate with someone. Hopefully, uh, if anybody listens to this video, they might think it's not just that it's happening to them. And we always, I always find comfort when I hear people's stories. I feel less alone when I listen to other people's stories, and that's the intention really, just to share my story of how I felt when I was in Mexico, living my best life. But so since what's happened over the last 3 years with how our worlds change. So I remember back in 2020, in February, I went on a trip to visit America. So I visited Los Angeles, I visited Palm Springs, Summerland. It was really an amazing trip. After that, I went to Mexico. So I went to Cabo for 1 week before returning home. And it was really amazing trip. And I thought, at that point, the world was functioning at its best, at the most optimum level, where I felt nothing could ever go wrong. We always have, the choice to go wherever we want, whenever we want. But when I came back from that trip, the world we knew changed overnight. When, as you know, what happened in 2020, I don't want to see the C word. I want to forget about it. I don't want to forget about it, but it's a little bit scary to think about those times because everything we knew changed overnight, and the ability to travel was taken away. And for me, subconsciously, traveling was a way of escaping reality, and we call it that an escape. A lot of the times, somehow we think if we escape to a different place, how we feel, the challenges that we feel might disappear, and we might feel better if we are in a different place, and that's why we call it an escape. I know it should be more like, I want to explore than escape, but a lot of the times that's what it is. So we want to escape whatever it is that, that's on our mind, and then go to a new place with the hope to feel better. And it is true, in terms of, we do have busy lives, we do have stressful jobs, we do have stressful things, life isn't easy, and a little bit of rest always helps. Change of scenery always helps as well when you go away. But we all know that, all we are trying to do is feel a little bit better than how we feel on a daily basis, and that's why we want to escape. And that was exactly the same for me as well. I felt if I can travel, if I can go wherever I want, and at that point I wanted to go to Mexico. I wanted to live in Mexico. So when the travel restrictions were taken off, I had the opportunity to take 1 month off from my work, which was really nice, and I felt really privileged when I had that option to take such a long time off and travel. So I took the opportunity. I booked my flights to Mexico. I arrived in Mexico. So the plan was, for the first 2 weeks, I was going to spend first 2 weeks with my partner. So we were going to spend time in San Jose, then explore the nearby places like Todos Santos or, Cabo San Lucas. Also, we went on a day trip to La Paz as well during that trip. And after 2 weeks, I was going to spend the remaining 2 weeks by myself because I wanted to travel solo. and also my partner couldn't get, the whole month off like I was able to. Then I was going to spend those 2 weeks alone. So for the first 2 weeks, everything was going, more or less fine. There was no, obviously no issue, because, obviously I wasn't traveling alone. So I had that safety blanket that I was with someone. So however, for the remaining 2 weeks, that wasn't going to be the case. So when I was in San Jose, I think a couple of days after we arrived, my laptop broke. So the screen of my laptop wouldn't turn on. And the things, that happen unexpectedly, that trigger my anxiety. And I would even go back to saying, because the C thing happened unexpectedly in 2020. So because COVID happened unexpectedly, nobody was expecting it. I'm sure it has affected people differently. So anything unexpected happens, that, obviously increases my anxiety by quite a lot. So since the screen broke, I was devastated. I was trying to get the screen fixed, but they don't have Apple, obviously. I think they don't have Apple Store, but I think they had someone who was going to be able to fix the screen. But they said it was going to take longer than the time I was going to be there in Mexico. So that was not an option. So the real thing started when my partner left to go back to the UK, and I was going to be traveling to La Paz, knowing that I don't have a backup in terms of, my airline tickets or, all the COVID stuff that I have, the COVID certificates and whatnot. So they were now only accessible through my phone. And I don't know, but, from the past, I never thought I need to print anything, have anything printed off, and, everything is digital. So that was my thing, why waste paper when we don't have to? So when I was traveling to La Paz, constantly I was, protecting my phone, I was protecting my passport. So because I was alone, I felt more anxious. What happens if I lose my phone? What happens if I lose my passport and I can't leave the country? All sorts of irrational things were entering my mind as I was traveling on the bus to La Paz. I remember the bus was quite full because I think it was like a national holiday or something, and people were traveling to their hometowns to visit their families. And I was sat on the bus from San Jose to La Paz, just crippled with anxiety. So that wasn't a great start, obviously. So I knew that is exactly what I wanted to do, live my dream, travel solo, be in Mexico. However, first day was definitely not planning out as I expected. But I thought it's only because it's a long bus ride. I think it took like 5 hours or so. It's a long bus ride and I will feel better when I get to the hotel. So when I got to the hotel, I only booked this hotel for, I think, first week. And I didn't make any reservations for the next week because my plan was, I might want to travel somewhere else. So I didn't want to book 2 weeks at a stretch. So I arrived at the hotel. Hotel was really nice in the middle of the city. There were lots of people, families around. So as you know, La Paz is a really family friendly city. So I felt really, really safe. So yeah, so when they showed me to my room, so the room wasn't, I don't think it was that high up. It was like 6th or 7th floor maybe. And it had a glass window. So, and then if you look down from that window, it was straight, to the floor. So looking at that, I don't know, maybe because I was already anxious that I was alone. So I looked from that glass window, and I really didn't feel comfortable just going near to the glass window. I didn't think I had any fear of, sort of heights or anything like that before that. So it was something, first time that happened to me. And I was so scared that I wouldn't even go on that side of the room. So that is really, really, strange, because I didn't think, I was bothered by fears or anything, bothered by heights or anything like that. But I spoke to the staff and I explained to them, I've booked for 1 week and, I wanted to stay in a room which was which didn't have like a glass window, rather had a proper sort of, obviously wall, like not the glass wall. So they were really kind enough to change my room and move me to another room. And then, so that was nice. So that problem was solved. Now, after that thing was done, the fear of going out alone and filming the videos was also crippling me quite a lot. So I was really afraid. If you have been to La Paz, you know that there is a boardwalk by the ocean, and it's really, really nice and picturesque. So I wanted to make some videos, walking on that. But then I was really scared that what happens if my phone drops in the ocean and I can't get it, and then what happens if I lose my passport. And when I say any of these things, about Mexico or what happened in Mexico, by the way, this is no reflection of Mexican people or any people anywhere in the world. It's just how I feel. It's just my experience and how I feel. Mexican people are really, really nice and amazing, very hospitable people that I've met. So yeah, it's by no means it's a reflection of them. But anyway, so for the first couple of days I was also worried to go out and eat, obviously my breakfast, lunch, dinner all by myself. I was constantly thinking, what would the people in the place that I visited would think of me, how would they perceive me and all that sort of stuff. But the people actually, in the restaurant, they were like, it's a vegan place, I think, in La Paz, and the people were really friendly. They asked me, where I'm from, what I was doing in Mexico, if I like in Mexico. They told me about some cool places I can visit, so that was really good. Like really young people, really, really friendly. So that made me feel really happy. And but because of the fear of losing my stuff, I used to go have my lunch or dinner, whatever it is, and come back to the hotel room and spend a lot of time in the hotel room. So basically I had to find a way of moving forward at that point, because I know I was there to explore, not to just stay in my hotel room. So I had to find a way. I knew I wanted to go to Playa Balandra. I knew I wanted to visit Isla Espiritu Santo. So I knew I had to do something and get these trips booked, or figure out how I was going to do it, when I was going to do it. And for the first week, unfortunately I couldn't take any action whatsoever, because I was just thinking of the worst that could happen if I went on these trips by myself, and how things could go wrong. And I was playing a number of scenarios in my head, what could go wrong. So I just stayed in my room, and my excuse was I need to relax and enjoy, this amazing hotel room that I have. It was like sea-facing room, so that was my excuse, just to stay in the room for as long as I wanted to. But I knew I wasn't moving forward. I wasn't doing what I wanted to do when I was in Mexico. When I was back home, all I was thinking, I would be exploring amazing places, going to new places, making new video every week, and that wasn't happening at all, because I was just staying in my room because of the fear. So so after the first week, so it was time, because I really liked the hotel and I was getting really comfortable with where I stayed and the people there as well. So I decided to extend my stay in the same hotel. So I wanted to book for another week. So rather than going on booking.com, I thought I'll just go and ask at the reception if they still have availability for the same room for another week. So, and the lady at the reception was really, really nice, and she was able to get me, another week stay in the same hotel, and the price was really good as well, because I was booking directly with them, so that was good. So in Mexico, I don't know if it's very common, but they didn't give me any receipt for, any sort of, they gave me like a receipt that I paid X amount of money for, but there was no like record of the dates what I would be staying, or the dates that I extended the stay for. So there was nothing, I didn't have a booking confirmation. And if you're anything like me, I like to have confirmation of everything. So if anything goes wrong, I've got something, to explain myself, show them that, I've booked this and this is what it says, but I had nothing. So that was another thing that bothered me a lot. So I tried to speak to the lady at the reception again and asking her to send me the confirmation of the booking. And she said she will do it when I was going to leave. She will send me the invoice on the email if I really wanted it. And I was like, that would be too late to get the invoice when I'm leaving, because I just want to know that confirmation that I've got the stay for next week. I don't want any surprises, any unexpected events where they say, oh, sorry, you haven't booked and you have to move hotels and find another place. I was thinking, what if there is no other place? But if you know La Paz, there are so many hotels there. So I knew my fear was irrational. I would definitely find another place, just, because there are so many hotels in the same sort of area. But anyway, so that was that. And then, so then going back to my trip to Espiritu Santo. So, one second, I've got my water. So, So I knew the time was running out and I was only going to have a week, and I really had to book these trips. I had to at least go to Espiritu Santo and Playa Balandra. So I decided to walk around, see the prices for the trip to Isla Espiritu Santo through the tour office, tour shops. Tour guide place that they have. They have lots of shops in La Paz where they sell the tours. So the prices were really, really high, and also the prices on the internet were really high as well for the trip to Espiritu Santo, compared to the price that I spotted in the port, in front of the ferry port in La Paz, and the price was really, really reasonable. So logically that made sense to book the trip directly there. Now, because it was just a kiosk, and they, when I paid, they gave me like a piece of paper which said the trip time, and I paid X amount. But then I was thinking, what if this tour doesn't exist and I've just paid for nothing? Then, then what happens? And even worse, if I go on a trip and if it's not what they say it is, then what happens? What happens if they never bring me back from Isla Espiritu Santo? And now this was getting really, really crazy and totally out of hand, all my fears. I knew it was getting crazy because, why would someone do that? I knew Mexico is a safe place, obviously, as safe as I know you have to be vigilant everywhere you go, but this was just crazy fear and anxiety about all these unwanted thoughts, really. So anyway, so on the day of the trip, I arrived at the pickup location, which is just in front of the ferry port, and then I saw, a young couple, and I think it was, the boy's mom, and she was from Europe. So yes, so I felt really relaxed as soon as I see like a family there, so that made me feel comfortable. Then there was another single girl traveling, so she was a solo traveler going to Espiritu Santo, so that was pretty nice. So I thought, I wasn't the only one, and there were all these people with me, and this, obviously is really comforting. As soon as you see people, as soon as you see people, you can relate to them, you think you're not alone, and it definitely makes you less anxious. And then, I was able to speak to these people when we were on the boat. They were really nice people, just exploring this beautiful island with me, Isla Espiritu Santo. So that was pretty nice. So yeah, so after that trip, I went back to the hotel, really happy, because, because I was really happy that I was able to, face my fear, go on the trip I wanted to go on, be alone, be able to travel, explore, and the world was a safe place. So I felt safe again because of the people, that were on the trip, and I wasn't only alone. It was an amazing trip, a trip I will remember, obviously for a long time. But now I was on to my next challenge at that point, where I wanted to book a trip to go to Playa Balandra. So this I knew was going to be a little bit more challenging, and the reason being is that I wasn't going to book organized tour. I wanted to do it by myself because I figured that there was a bus that goes to Playa Balandra from La Paz, from the beach area. So from La Paz Malecon. So and the price for the bus was really, really, really reasonable compared to what you would pay for a taxi or for organized trip. So logically it made sense to do that, and so to take public transport, because I always like to take public transport, so that's what I wanted to do. So this was my last day in Mexico, and I thought, if I don't do it today, I will never do it. But also the problem with leaving it to the last day was, I was thinking, what if I don't make it back to La Paz on the same evening? And the reason why I thought that is because I seen some reviews of people where they were saying that they went to Playa Balandra and then they were unable to see the bus or unable to get the bus back for XYZ reason. And I was just thinking or imagining, visualizing that I'm going to go to Playa Balandra, explore it, and then I won't be able to find my way back, or I won't be able to find taxi. And the reason why I thought I won't be able to get a taxi back is because a lot of people said that in Playa Balandra there is no cell phone reception. So that was triggering me quite a bit. So my entire life, my entire safety, my entire existence depends on my phone, because everything is on the phone these days, as you know. If you lose the phone, you lose everything. I'm only joking, by the way. So anyway, so yeah. So I knew if I couldn't make my way back from Playa Balandra, and if there is no cell phone reception, and if you know La Paz and how far Playa Balandra is, it's quite a remote beach, really. It would be impossible to walk. Second option would be to hitchhike. But what if I get in trouble hitchhiking? What if there is nobody there coming back to La Paz? What if it was really deserted place? Because at that point I had no idea what to expect, even though I did watch few videos and read up what people said about Playa Balandra. Anyway, so, and then the other thing I was thinking is, whatever it is, I had to do this trip because it's the last day, because the next day I was making my way back to San Jose, and then I had to fly back to London. So I knew I had to do it regardless of my fears. I had to move forward regardless of my fears. So I thought obviously the worst thing that could happen is I would be stranded, in a deserted place, and then what I need is water. I need something to drink to keep me hydrated, also some food, and also clothes to keep me warm. So I prepared accordingly. I was prepared for the worst. I was prepared to leave the country if I had to. So I had everything on me, my passport, my phone. And the trouble with that is, again, you're worrying about, you losing your bag constantly. But when I got on the bus to go to Playa Balandra and eventually arrived at Playa Balandra, I was faced with a new challenge. And the challenge was, actually the bus drops you off at a certain point, and then you have to walk to the beach, and it's quite inside. So anyway, so I ended up talking to a lady. She was a Canadian lady, and she knew her way. So I ended up talking to her, and we walked to the beach together. And she was telling me about her travels that she's been on. So, and also, I told her, I feel about, how I feel about losing my passport and losing my, phone. And she said she feels exactly the same, and she's also exactly the same, always prepared for the worst, always ready to flee the country if something goes wrong. So I was like, so straight away I felt it wasn't just me, and there was no reason why these fears should have stopped me or left, this experience till the last day, when if I didn't do it, it was too late, basically. So yeah, I instantly felt better. So we went to the beach, we explored, the Playa Balandra, Ended up talking to a really lovely Mexican family in Playa Balandra. That was pretty nice. And it was just people. Everybody was just so normal. They made me feel, so safe, so happy, so comfortable. It was a, nice experience again. And then I was thinking, why did I leave it too late? Why did I, obviously not do these things before? Why did I, waste so much time just worrying about things, playing scenarios in my head? But after all, I felt at least I was able to do it, even though it was the last day, and I was able to face my fears. So one lesson that I learned is that action is enemy of anxiety. Anxiety fears action. So if you take any action, your anxiety will lose the grip on you, because as you move forward towards what you want to do, you will prove yourself wrong time and time again. And if you have social anxiety, the people in the world are so nice and nobody means any harm. 99% of the people are fine. We are all the same. We are all human beings. All we want to do is be safe, be loved, be kind. And nobody goes out with the intention of obviously doing something to someone, or at least that's what I like to think anyway. We are all humans after all, and we want the same things in life. People have families that they have to look after. You have to be careful, because obviously you have to be careful wherever you go, because you just don't know. So but that shouldn't stop you from doing things that you want to do, or fear the world, or fear the people in this world, or distance yourself from people in this world, because after all we all want the same things. So that was the lesson I learned when I was in Mexico, and it was a very, very valuable lesson. So if you're anybody like me and you have your dreams to visiting a new place, but you're a bit scared and you're playing scenarios in your head, all I want you to know is you're not alone, and you are strong, and you are adventurous, you are brave, you can do it. So make a plan and just go for it, because I promise nothing is going to happen. Nothing that you think that plays in your head is going to happen. So yeah. So so this is how obviously anxiety can, I just wanted to share this, because this is how anxiety can cripple, even when we are living our best life, even when we think our dreams are coming true, the dream is turning into reality. It can happen even in those moments. All we have to do is take action, move forward. And also in my daily life, I do feel it from time to time. Sometimes I feel it more strongly than other times when something happens or something upsets me. And sometimes it's uncontrollable. Sometimes it's overwhelming sadness, uncontrollable crying. Sometimes it's a panic attack. And so I've tried to learn the things that make me feel more relaxed, more myself. And the first thing is having really good rest. So I try to sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time, have that night routine. So that helps me a lot. So lately I've started going for long walks in the morning. So I used to always go for walks, but it wasn't long enough. So I've now started to go for a 5-kilometer walk, because the more you move, the more you move your body, the better your mind feels. So it's a win-win really. So you get exercise, you get fresh air, you get vitamin D, you're out in the sun, you can smile to people when you go for a walk. You're not the only one in the world, because sometimes that's what it feels like when you're sat in the house. So it helps me massively to go for those long walks in places like this, where I can be with nature. Nature for sure is a healer. So it will heal you in the ways that you wouldn't expect. You can speak to trees. I sometimes speak to these trees because I'm a little bit so the things I tell them my fears, and they're like, why are you so scared? We stand here in the cold, in the rain, in the dark. We don't run away from our fears, and we are okay. We are still growing, we are still staying strong, we are standing tall. So we remain unbothered by whatever happens on the outside. You know, we stay strong where we are. So I really like to look at trees and think how strong they are, regardless of what happens. So regardless of what tree problems they have. So yeah, so I really hope, you enjoyed listening to this story. And I know I haven't been uploading the videos recently. I was dealing with few of my things, and I just needed time to just sort of, be with my fears, face them, feel them, and heal them after all. So I feel a lot better now, and hence I'm able to share this story with you. And yes, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. Please give it a like, leave a comment. Please let me know, obviously, if you feel anything like I do, because it will help me massively as well. Because all we can do is help each other by sharing how we feel. So yeah, and also please subscribe and turn the notifications on so you won't miss my next video. So thank you very much for watching this video till the end, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.